Hey friends, how are you? So here in Holy Week, the area Montrose churches have been doing a morning devotional and then a fellowship hour just to have breakfast together. And it's really sweet to see all denominations come together and not bicker, but say there's one King, there's one crucifixion, one Good Friday that's coming, one Holy Week. And let's not be divisive in our theology. So good job, Montrose. It's so rich to be a part of that. So recently they asked me to preach a passage, and as I was praying for that, I was reminded of a really interesting way to pray, that you put your own name into Scripture. So here, as we're waiting on the crucifixion of Jesus, and then as we're waiting on the resurrection of Jesus, we have to remember that we too have to die. We too have to live into the crucifixion, so that we would go with Jesus into his death, just as we would rise with Jesus into his resurrected life. But to remember that, I think it's important we really need to be focusing on our sin these next couple days as we look into Good Friday coming. So what that would sound like is, as you put your own name into Scripture, I'll put my name into this. This is the familiar passage from Romans 3 that says, or I guess the practice of how to do this is anytime it says you do this, or a general blanket statement, so Romans 3 says there is none, read that with your own name. So it would say you are not righteous, you would read it Mary or Beth or John is not righteous. And how we do that, what it would sound like for me is Romans 3 says Dean is not righteous. There's not even one. Dean does not understand. Dean does not seek for God. All have turned aside. Dean has turned aside. Together they become useless. Dean does not do good. Dean's throat is an open grave, with Dean's tongue as they keep deceiving. The poison of asps is under Dean's lips. Dean's mouth is full of cursing and bitterness. Dean's feet is swift to shed blood. Destruction and misery is in Dean's path. There is no fear of God before Dean's eyes. And that makes it so much more personal. And even in reading that, it's hard, because some of those things I just read is true. And I have to be willing to recognize my sin with where it is. So just as we can say post-resurrection, Dean is the righteousness of Christ, Dean is raised from the dead, you are raised from the dead, you are the righteousness of Christ, you are the beloved. We also have to be willing to say about our sin what Jesus says about our sin. And so how to do that is just an interesting way to read your own name in Scripture. So Matthew 23, is this really incredible passage where Jesus is kind of picking fights with the Pharisees as he's setting the stage for his own burial. He has to be crucified on Passover for the fulfillment of Scriptures. So he's setting the stage and kind of making all this happen. So he's really just being bold with his words. But if I were to try that here, it would say, woe to Dean, for Dean cleans the outside of the cup and the dish, but inside is full of robbery and self-indulgence. And I think when I read passages like that, I think that's true for all of us. We are all full of self-indulgence. Father, forgive us. Dean, you blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup of the dish, so that the outside may come clean also. So as you engage with your own sin, I pray that you would be kind to yourself, but at the same way, we have to say what Jesus says about our sin, just as we have to say what he says about our hope and our joy as well. So today I'm inviting you into your sin, and I'm inviting you to read your own name into some of these passages, just as a reminder of how to pray. Bless you.